Good evening friends. The 55th GST Council meeting, press conference as well as press release has been issued. We will analyze in this video the very critical and important points sector wise for a detailed clause by clause analysis, and it is a very long press release covering 7 to 8 pages of the press release. Please log on to our webinar. The link is below in this video on 23rd of December, Monday, 5 p.m. where we will discuss clause by clause threadbare. So first, most critical issue which everybody was awaiting is that the Honorable Apex Court's judgment in the case of Safari retreats has been negated, and a retrospective amendment with respect and effect from 1st of July 2017 would be made in section 17 subsection 5 clause D of the CGST Act, wherein goods or services for construction of building or warehouses given on rent would be blocked as far as input tax credit is concerned, and this would come with a rider and explanation to the section that this retrospective amendment would be notwithstanding any Supreme Court's or any other court's decree or order. So the government is very clear for the real estate sector: no input tax credit on goods or services used for construction of building or warehouses given on rent. Second important issue which would impact all the taxpayers, but it was raised by the automobile sector, is say in case there is a automobile OEM or any other manufacturer for that matter, and he does an X work supply. The dealer's transporter takes the delivery of the material from the factory gate of the OEM or the manufacturer. The insurance from the factory gate of the OEM or the manufacturer is borne by the dealer recipient. The question is whether input tax credit would be available on the date when the dealer has taken the delivery or the date when the material or the automobile or whatever goods are there which would enter the warehouse or the showroom or the factory gate of the recipient. It has been clarified and recommended by the GST Council that the date for the purpose of input tax credit would be the date when the delivery is taken. However, this puts into question section 10 subsection 1 clause A of the IGST Act. In as far as for this X work supply, the place of supply would be the factory gate of the OEM, and therefore if the dealer is registered in another state, then the question is that whether CGST, SGST or IGST needs to be charged by the OEM or the manufacturer. Third important issue for all MSMEs is a new process of GST registration has been tabled and principally approved by the GST Council. The new process provides a quick registration to the new companies or the MSMEs within say 2 to 3 days, provided that their input tax credit transfer limit would be subject to a particular threshold. So in case an MSME, say a dealer on an e-commerce website, he requires a registration in a new state, and the dealer certainly would not pass on more than say 3 to 4 lakh rupees of input tax credit, then he can take a quick registration under the new registration module. However, the said process has been tabled and would be further deliberated and crystallized by the committees of the GST Council. Fourth important issue is for the composite taxpayers. They do not need to pay GST RCM on the commercial properties, shops, etc., which they take on rent from unregistered persons. From 10th of October 2024, such renting of commercial property from unregistered taxpayers by all registered taxpayers including composite taxpayers was liable to RCM under GST. So now a relief has been provided to composite taxpayers. Fifth, important for the real estate is that the ACC blocks, nowadays many of the buildings are made using ACC blocks. The question was, would they be taxed at 12% or 18%? Now the GST Council has approved a recommendation wherein it will be clarified or notified that in case the fly ash content in the ACC block is more than 50%, then it would be classified under 6815 and liable to tax at 12%. In case the fly ash content is 50% or less, then it would be considered as articles of cement and liable to tax at 18%. A very important development for all the taxpayers is with respect to keeping the credit notes pending on IMS. Well, earlier in October and November the IMS was made applicable and there is no facility or utility to keep the credit notes pending. This creates a lot of hardship for all the taxpayers because a credit note may be issued by a supplier say on 31st of December. If the recipient receives it on say 5th or 10th of January, then what action would he take on IMS? He cannot accept the credit note, neither would he be in a position to finally say that the credit note should be rejected. So it seems from the press release that some solution has been reached for these credit notes, and going forward maybe such credit notes may be allowed to be kept pending for at least a certain period of time. For all the taxpayers who are going into appeal, we are seeing that many of the demands are under section 74. So many of the times, even when the tax has been paid, then penalties are invoked under section 74 even if the tax has been paid, and such penalties are contested by the taxpayers. No pre-deposit is applicable in case there is no tax demand but only a demand of penalty. Now it has been recommended by the GST Council that certain pre-deposit of 10 to 25% depending upon the penalties would be applicable even when the demand is only with respect to penalty and not with respect to any tax amount. So this would certainly impact all the taxpayers who are going into appeals, specifically under this section 74 where penalties are invoked only in the orders. Again, two important issues which have been deferred and which would be clarified going forward. First issue is for e-commerce operators, whether the delivery charges collected by food e-commerce operators like Swiggy etc. would be liable to GST or not. If liable to GST, then at what rate? Whether these delivery charges wherein the delivery are done by the unregistered delivery boys would be exempt because those delivery boys are not liable to be registered under GST, or would those delivery boys who are following the instructions of Swiggy be considered to be supplying composite services of food and their services liable to tax at 5%, or would a flat rate of 18% be applicable on these delivery charges on door-to-door food delivery by these e-commerce operators? Second issue which has been kept pending and rightly so is the GST RCM applicability on FSI charges. charged by the municipalities. Since this is a state issue, then further deliberation would be done on this. Many non-profit organizations like chambers of commerce, etc., sports institutes, they collect sponsorship from their members. So many chambers of commerce, like they are under section 25 companies, under section 25 of the Companies Act, and they charge sponsorship, wherein the recipient body corporate or their members, they are liable to pay GST on RCM basis. However, these companies which are charging sponsorship, they have to reverse input tax credit proportionate to such sponsorship services rendered by them. Now it has been proposed by the GST Council that sponsorship services provided by body corporates would be under forward charge and not reverse charge. This would provide relief to such body corporates. And last is a chronic issue with respect to hotels. In case a restaurant is there within a hotel and the hotel, even for a single day, charges more than 7,500 room tariff for even a single room, then from the very beginning of the year, he would be liable to pay 18% GST on his restaurant services. This hit the doctrine of impossibility, because how would a hotel who would be charging say 7,500 in say January 25 know on 1st of April 2024 that he would be charging 7,500 or more on a room and therefore levy 18% GST on his restaurant services. Now it seems that the GST Council has recommended that the higher rate of GST on restaurant services would be applicable from the next year, that is from the year next to the year where this 7,500 threshold limit is crossed and far as the value of the supply of services of the rooms and not declared tariff. So friends, these are the important critical decisions. There are many other decisions which have been taken, and we would again deliberate it thread by clause on 23rd of December, Monday at 5 p.m. Thank you very much for watching. Do share, subscribe and like this channel. Stay tuned. Thank you very much.